But more or less, we are focused on B2B. We are a post-money valuation, like $26 million valuated company. And I think the way we are growing will reach around 100 million valuation in next, I want to say 16 to 18 months. So
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another exciting episode of Founders Ascent, the podcast where we look into the ascent of founders across the world. I'm your co-host BJ. I'm here as always with Gavin and our very special guest Samir Ranjan. Thank you so much for joining us. And
thank you for having me, guys. Thank you.
so Samir is an expert in the AI space and has been, he's currently pursuing a PhD from Stanford in computational neurology and has built several companies and is on a number of advisor for many, many more, including the Harvard Business Review. And today we'll be looking into his background and sort of what the path he took to get where he is today, and especially his AI company, Catenate, and their work, amongst other things. So I'm excited to just jump in. And Samir, I would love to hear it from yourself, sort of your journey and background to get to Catenate.
Sure. I started my undergrad was in mining engineering, which is basically going under the ground and digging out the metal and mineral, right? And when I was doing that, I was working with data and a lot of statistics on how I can optimize the process and everything. It was not part of my core job, but I thought let's do it for the kick, and I don't have to go to underground then if I'll do something with computers, right? And interestingly, I hated computer till then. Like I did, and not the idea of computer, but the programming, right? I used to hate it because I thought that was the toughest thing to do. But eventually, I ended up in a space which is around computers and programming. I had an idea on how we can use data for a lot of stuff. We didn't used to call it AI back then. And I'm not talking about like 20 years ago, it's like what, 10 years ago. AI was just a sales notion, but more or less, we were talking about how we can use the data to do descriptive analytics, which is we have data and we are just looking backwards on the history of data to find something, some patterns. And that gave me an idea, like that interest basically gave me an idea that yes, I should go and do masters. And during my masters, I think I learned the trick of the trades, right? Because here at UTD JSOM, since you guys are also from JSOM, they teach all different facets of business and analytics and algorithm. And that creates a great base to do what you want to do later in the life if your basics are clear. And once I was offered that, yes, we are going to start the Catenate right after my graduation, I think I got the opportunity, which most of the people don't get, where I was able to use all the subjects that I have learned in my master's at once, right? Because I was doing marketing analytics, sales analytics, at the same time building the algorithm, doing reinforcement learning, and whatnot, right? And so I'm really grateful that I got an opportunity. It was like a luck that one of the founders of the company where I was doing my last internship, he was really interested in one idea. And he said, this is what we want to do from the technology side. And I said, yes, let's do it. And it all happened.
That's great. So you didn't necessarily get to work with them from the very beginning, but he had an idea.
I worked from the very beginning. So the
You did.
genesis
Okay.
of the idea was he has his son who now goes to ASU in the he is also undergrad there. So
Okay.
he was trying to figure out which course and which college he should take. He's a chess genius, right? And but he was having hard time figure out what course he wants to pursue, which most of us are in high school, right? We all want to look good for the prom, but not where we want to study, right? We are not clear what major we want to take. So he basically created a system by which he was assessing his kid, like, okay, do you like this? Will you make this much money? So you should go do this program. It was
Yeah.
very Excel sheet. And when we started discussing the idea, uh, my idea was more from the ML side, right? That, okay, let's take all the data, run it through a regression, and we'll be able to predict something for the people. So yeah, I was part of like from ideation, I was part of this concept. It only became official after what, 3, 4 months from idea to officiating it. Yeah.
Mm.
That's awesome. I did the same thing. I pulled up an Excel spreadsheet and put a ton of colleges, and the UTD ranked the highest. And so I can
Yeah.
definitely like see it. But in terms of what Catenate actually does and like the user experience from, let's say it was me trying to figure out which college to go to, how would I use Catenate now to help improve that?
Right. Right. So Catnate is, let's call it a brand house, right? It has multiple products into it. One of the product is Mira Mira, which I was talking about to help people find what kind of courses or colleges they want to go to. So I'll give you guys an interesting anecdote, right? Which is uh, there's a concept called ikigai, right? It's a Japanese concept, and apparently Japanese have created all the cool concepts of the world, right?
Yeah.
I think they are the most clear-headed person ever, like
Hmm.
any country that can be, right? They are very clear in what they want to do. So ikigai concept runs on the four pillars, right? One is spirit, like who you are as a person. Second is purpose, what you want to do. Third is profession, what you should do. And fourth is reward outlook, how much money you want to make or what your reward look like, right? For example, someone's reward might be just getting attention from people. Someone might be a dollar amount attached to it. For someone, it might be just helping out as many people as they can. The reward is different for everyone, right? So we took this four concept, and then we thought, like, if we start clustering people, right? For example, all the doctors will have certain kind of reward, right? A certain kind of profession, certain kind of purpose, and certain kind of spirit, right? So we basically started clustering different professions. And now, where you are in your journey, basically, I can map it to that cluster. Yes, your personality looks very close to that. Now, there is a twist to the tail, right? Which is personality changes every day, right? It is not consistent, right? Because right now we all are very happy and jolly, and let's say something bad happens in our life. We are going through a bad breakup, right? Our personality will change. We'll hear all the sad songs, right? And we'll relate to it, right?
Yeah.
But now let's say you enter, like you get like $10,000 in a lottery award, right? Your personality will change again because now you feel rich. Now you feel like I can give the best party to my bros and friends, right? So that's
Hmm.
how the personality change. So what we do is, what we do differently than anyone else is, we track the personality over a period of time, and then try to figure out, okay, where you should go. So ideally, if you are in your high school, when you start your high school, you should start using this app. And by the time you will finish the high school, you will have mapped out your personality, and based on that, we can determine. Second product in the same line is Maya Maya, which is basically for the people who are looking jobs. Now, this personality plus soft skill, plus if I add your job skills, it becomes whole as a person, right? That's what we all are, right? Apart from bone and blood and everything else, we have a soft skill, we have personality, and we have job skills. If you add these three, we become a human which is employable. So we use that metrics. We basically digitally twin people so that we can find out if, let's say, in Amazon, there's a guy named Josh and I want to hire another Josh. I'll ask Josh to do this assessment. I'll basically take his profile, I'll twin it. And now anyone and everyone whom I want to hire in that company, if they have a personality better than Josh or like Josh, I'll just hire them, right? Which is my next product, which is Maya Maya. So to answer your question, Catnet is a brand of house. One, we make product for high schoolers, and second is basically for people who are looking to do something in their career.
Okay, that makes sense. And so, how are you guys actually inputting the data to actually help these people make these decisions? Are they working with
Right,
some sort
right.
of chat bot, or is it like an interview with your camera and microphone on? Like, what does that process look like?
Right. So this is basically a behavioral economics assessment. So what happens is, and this is basically for the jobs, right, or career, let's say, anything and everything that we do to earn money has a behavioral economics component attached to it. For example, you are having a very bad day, but your boss comes and says that he needs to get something done in next 1 hour, right? You cannot revert back to your boss in a bad tone because you will get fired, right? So you will change your behavior according to the economics of the situation, right? Because you need to make that dollar hour, right? So based on that, there is an assessment which is very personalized. So if you will give the assessment, it will look very different than what BJ will do or what I will do based on which job profile I want to target, where I stand in my career, and what are the outlooks that I'm looking, right? So this is and the best part about it is it's a situational assessment, which is there are situation and then there are four answers, right? And you have to order your answers, which means that there is no right answer, no wrong answer. And same question, if I'll ask you next month, your answer might change because your personality has changed. So this is how we basically get the data input into our system.
Okay, so it basically gives you questions about situations, and then you respond how you would
Yeah,
actually
yeah,
react in that situation.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah. And you upload your resume, which is basically static because
Yeah,
your job skills is your job skills. What you have learned is what you have learned. So
got it.
And so, are there any parts of like human behavior that isn't so malleable that seems to be extremely consistent across the entire life, or just from what you've seen and the work you've done?
Hmm.
good question actually. So human personality is malleable, right? There is a concept called neuroplasticity, which is basically in 3 months you can change your behavior, right? Like let's say, uh, and then there is positive reinforcement and negative reinforcement, which basically, let's say you're doing something really good. Every time I come and give you a chocolate, right? Let's say you like chocolate, right? And I said like only talk in a lower voice, right? And every time you do that, I'll go and give you a chocolate, right? What it will do basically to your brain is that, yes, I'm getting awarded for certain kind of behavior. So you will start incorporating that behavior in your daily life, right? And in 3 months, you will notice that this is a new behavior. Same is negative reinforcement also, right? Let's say you did some mistake, and instead of going and shouting at you, I basically started spraying water on you, right? Or I basically gave you an ointment which basically burns your skin, right? It doesn't harm you, but it just like it's a different sensation, right? If I do that, it's a negative reinforcement, and you will find that within 6 hours or 7 hours, you stop doing that because that's how our brain works, right? So our personality is deeply malleable, same way our thoughts are, right? Let's say there is someone who always thinks everything very negative, right? And I started giving them everything that is positive. They'll start thinking very differently in few days, right? I just don't know the number of days, but this is scientifically proven and it happens. That is why all the psychologists and psychiatrists have jobs in the world.
Yeah. So is Catenate just basically giving people advice on what to do to actually help change that behavior?
Not really. We are more like an assessment platform, right? We don't want
Uh,
to be a platform where we are giving the advice because then it comes the AI ethics piece, right? Which is
yeah.
people can come and start like asking, oh, why are you giving XYZ recommendation, right? It might be right, it might be wrong, but the thing is when you add when you don't have human enabled system, right, with AI, it becomes very dangerous because now you cannot control the result, right? So that is why we are just an assessment platform, but
Hmm.
we allow human intervention so that human can come in, use the result, and then decide a path, right? With again, it's a very common problem which everybody states and thoughts around the world that if we leave everything to AI, we'll create terminators, right? So we don't want to do that.
Yeah.
That makes a lot of sense. And so, what Catanate mostly does, it's more like self awareness rather than decision making. It's just helping you see what you like.
Yeah.
Right. We call it decision aiding platform, which is
Okay,
basically we are aiding to your decisions. That's what we do.
right.
Yeah.
And so you jumped ahead to AI and its concerns and dangers. What do you think is the key to making it a force for good?
Oh, okay. So I think danger of AI lies in, I'll give you two examples, right? One is information, right? our brain can process certain amount of information, right? We live in a world where every single platform that we open right now on our phone or laptop, everything is giving us information, right? If you remember, like few years ago, there were only few platforms like Udemy and Coursera which will provide courses, right? If you'll just go and type online course, you'll get at least 1,000 platforms like that, right? How do you know which one is right? How do you know which one is wrong, right? There is no method or way to understand it, right? Now, let's say I created a platform where I have uploaded all the wrong content around everything, and people are reading it and learning it, and they understand that okay, this might be the new right because nobody's telling them what is right or what is wrong. Same thing goes with AI feedback system. For example, let's say I have million people sitting in one place, and I say every time this AI system gives a right answer, do a thumbs down, which is basically I'm negatively training the model that to give the wrong answer, right? And every time it gives a wrong answer, do a thumbs up, right? Over a period of time, the system will only give the wrong answer, right? Now we cannot control that, right? That is where the AI goes and becomes dangerous, right? So if I have to make a system which is where AI is not dangerous, I need to have a layer. I need to have regulations around AI that this kind of data should be there, this kind of training should be there, and then a peer review system so that people can come review it and say that this is right or this is wrong. So that's how you make AI, let's call it sentient as well as good for humans.
Right, and I could see there being challenges, especially because anyone can code an AI, pop open TensorFlow and a little bit of Python knowledge, and
Yeah.
you can make something. And so, how do you regulate that? Is that it by controlling the data and restricting access to that, or is there some other way to keep it under control?
Right, right. So this is one of the things that has been that is right now being heavily researched around the world because nobody has the right answer. But if you'll just ask my perspective, it goes on showing the when you show the result of any query, you should show the source of information also, which is
Hmm.
uh, who was the best president of United States. You gave XYZ name, but show the source also that according to this source, this is the best president, right? So that I can go and cross check it. Right now, what happens is most of the systems that is out there that will just give you the result, right? And you might have seen in the chat GPT also in the last few months, they have started giving the source because until unless you don't give the source, there is no method to validate right or wrong. Now, again, to your question, yes, anybody can go ahead and make AI system nowadays, right? You cannot control what data you are being trained on, but I think what needs to be more focused on is how you are enforcing the training, right? Because AI is only good if you have a feedback system, right? People are giving feedback, then only we call it AI, right? So you need to have a system by which you can govern the reinforcement system, right? And now that is the area where every scientist on the world is trying to figure out how do we regularize that because you need feedback and you need a regularization on top of it, right? Which is not an easy job. So, so yeah, that's the area of research.
Yeah, I hope we could do a good job regulating that in the future.
Yeah. I think like government has to intervene here, and they have to
Yeah, for
come up
sure.
with few logics, few let's call it few regulation that these are the things that we are going to use AI for. Now, again, when I say government should be in between these things, whenever the government body comes, I think the creativity stops. But being from the AI background, I understand we need creativity and everything, but we need governance also. Otherwise, world will go to haywire because we,
Yeah.
as you said, TensorFlow, a few data scrapers, I'm good to go. I can create anything, right? So yeah, regulations. I think that would be the answer for short-term protection of AI.
Yeah. I'm interested though too to hear about your guys' failures as a company so far. What have been some really big barriers in your way, and how'd you guys get around them as you guys progress as a company?
Right. Again, I'll just give you a generalized idea first, and then I'll go to Catenate because I advise to a lot of companies, and I have seen one problem which is consistent across every company, which is love with the product, right? So every founder in the world, like whatever they create, they
Hmm.
they fell in love with the product. right? And when you are in love with your product, you cannot hear any criticism around it, right? That's the toxicity of this love, right? Because you don't want to hear anything bad, right? And when somebody will come and say anything bad about it, your product or your process,
Yeah.
you tend to basically not take it seriously, or you take it too seriously, which is you will go and change everything, right? So that is one problem, one biggest roadblock. Second comes selling it, right? Let's say you created a cool concept, everybody loves it, but now you have to go out and sell it, right? And selling is a skill in itself, right? Which is people will go and say that, oh, I'm not a great salesperson, but that is not true. If you want to live in this world, you need to sell something, right? And if not a product, your skills, your anything and everything, right? So this is the
Hmm.
second biggest roadblock. And we also had both of it. When we started Mira, we had the
Yeah.
biggest roadblock because we thought that this is something which every kid will need. But in high school kids, nobody bothered about it too much. And you cannot go to parents and say that, oh, please buy it for your kid, because students don't listen to their parents at that age, right? Because they they are teens, they are growing up, they don't want to listen to their parents, right? So I
Yeah.
cannot sell it to kids, I cannot sell it to parents. Now I thought I'll go and sell it to school systems. The school systems take at least 12 months to 16 months to buy anything, right? I cannot survive a business which takes this much long time, because at that time I'll just bleed out of the money, right? So that was the thing, and I didn't want it to shut down the product, or none of the other founders wanted to shut down the product, because this was the idea of the lifetime,
Yeah.
right? But 1.5 years later, we understood that we need to pivot, and we need to add one more element, which is the job skill, and we can use it for the recruitment tool, or hiring tool, or talent management tool, right? And that's how the Maya was born, right? So that was one of the biggest challenge that we had, and that's how we overcame, right? It is, we just gave it enough time so that we understand that this is not working out in the market, which most of the founders have problem with.
Wait, so you guys made the product before you found your customers?
No, we had the okay. So when you create a product, right, it's an idea, and you'll go to 100 people and you'll say, "This is the idea. What do you think?" And everybody, "Oh,
Yeah,
this
yeah,
is
of
the
course.
coolest idea ever!" Like, yes, I'll buy it. If I had it, I will. Like we talked to around 1,000 students, right, who were in college.
Yeah.
Each and every one of them said that if we had this product in our high school, we would have definitely used it, right? But the thing is, we didn't understood one thing. We should have gone to high school kids and asked, "Do you want to use something like this?" Right? And that was the biggest problem. We asked the wrong crowd the right question, right? So
Oh, okay,
so
got makes
because
sense.
1,000 people are saying this is the coolest idea, we thought, yes, this is the coolest idea. We got the tiger by the tail, right? But when we created the tiger, we understood that nobody wants to get it, because
Mhm.
people who want to use it are already in the system. They are already in the college, right?
Yeah.
So that was the issue. And the second thing which we found was we developed it during the COVID times, right? Lot of customer psychology has changed after COVID, right? Right now, we are doing this podcast sitting in three different location on a video app, right? But 2020 podcast was not that big a thing, right? People were not doing podcast. NPR was the biggest thing, because I know, remember, I used to listen every morning when I used to go to job. But now there are like 500 different podcasts, right? You can pick your choosings, right? Which was not the option back then. So there were a few things which is, and again, I'll tell you, with me, there were seasoned entrepreneurs, right? They have been in industry for 25, 30 years, right? But we need to understand how the market is running and how the things are changing. And that most often we are not able to find out, because we are again in the love of the idea that, yes, we are going to change the world. But when the idea gets done, then, oh, world has moved on, right? So
Mhm.
that's something which was the hardest pill to swallow, but we learned a great deal of things from them.
And so
Yeah.
it's largely not technology issues. The technology is there, it works, it's effective. It's just marketing and adoption and convincing people this is something that you need and will help you a ton. Awesome.
Yeah, technology is never the issue. I don't think technology is ever the issue. It's basically tapping into the psychology of whom you are selling.
Mm. Yeah. Interesting.
And
So how
so,
did you guys? Yeah, you go,
okay.
DJ.
In terms of like where you're at in terms of users, like how many, who are they, what do they, what sort of is the feedback you've gotten?
Right, right. So with Maya, when we started Maya is being used by many companies to do their recruitment and talent management, skill assessment, skill gap analysis. And we are launching one new feature, which is basically, let's call it, uh, if you want to, if you have like 1,000 people in your company and you want them to go and work for another company, you can basically send their profile in a single click link to another company, and they can put it into job role and they can see exactly who matches to that job role. So they don't have to look at 1,000 resume and all those things, right? So in terms of users, we are heavily going into B2B, which is business to business. And we thought of creating a B2C brand where we can directly go to customers. But anyhow, like anybody can use it right now also on the B2C side. It's free of cost web app. But more or less, we are focused on B2B. We are a post money valuation, like $26 million valuated company. And I think the way we are growing will reach around 100 million valuation in next, I want to say 16 to 18 months. So,
Wow, good for you
and
guys.
from
And
zero,
you're
and yeah, yeah,
and you guys are doing that basically just B2B.
just B2B. Yeah.
Yeah,
Nice.
I
B2B
would.
is the gold mine. That's the dream, right? B2B, not B2C.
Yeah, B2C. Yeah, I have few companies. I had few companies which work directly in B2C, and I have had a pleasure of getting million users on that also. But
Yeah.
that's the toughest nut to crack, because you can get million user, but if you want to get million paid user, the toughest thing to do.
Yeah.
I want to say that again for viewers because we went very fast past that. $26 million valuation from these guys. Awesome work, seriously. And that's all. So it's largely like HR departments at companies looking to integrate their technology into
Yeah,
processes. Okay,
yeah.
very cool.
Okay, that yeah. Yeah, so I'm interested though. So this is just kind of like a concern I have. Who knows, maybe you guys have already fixed this problem, but what are you guys going to do about maybe people abusing this system and finding out what traits these people are hiring, and they're just going to lie about their answers to get the best possible quote unquote application for
Mhm.
Goldman Sachs because they really wanted to get in Goldman Sachs. Like, what do you guys have to stop that from happening?
Right. So there are two things, right? First, people won't know what Goldman Sachs is hiring for, because they write everything is very generic in the job description, that best communication skill, best presentation skill, team player. Every job description in the world has these three soft skills, right?
Yeah.
It doesn't mean anything. We check on 84 soft skills and around 78 personality metrics, right? So, and for every question that you answer, you have no idea whether you are answering it for soft skill or you are answering
Hmm.
it for personality. And
Okay.
if you
Good.
are,
Good.
and every question is basically a juxtaposition of at least 20 soft skill and five different personality parameters. So uh, you cannot game the system. And now we have added a recommendation engine on top of questions, which is basically every single individual will have different questions, right? And it's a situational analysis, right?
Good. Good. Yeah.
You cannot remember the answer because again your personality has changed, right? You will be confused whether I mark this as A or mark this as B. One thing that you can do is take screenshot of every question that you ever answered, and then basically remind that, okay, I'm going to answer in certain way. But the worst news is we have millions of questions that we can generate out of our system, right? So question
Yeah.
is not going to save. And if you are going through a million screenshot and everything, I think you deserve to get the job, because you have done enough hard work and you are a
You've done
very
your due
hardworking
diligence
person.
and
Yeah, yeah. I don't mind if you cheated and you did that much hard work. I'm pretty sure you should. I will hire you because I
okay.
want a
Yeah.
hardworking person like that in my
Yeah.
company.
So 78 personality metrics is interesting because like Myers-Briggs is on 4 scales, Big Five is on 5. Wait, is that
Yeah.
78 largely like subsections of those main big ones?
Yeah, yeah. We have also four pillars, but every pillar, like let's say spirit has 20 or 25 different personality combinations, right? Profession will have around 18 to 24 personality combination. So Myers-Briggs, what the biggest problem with Myers-Briggs was, it gives you something and it points you that yes, you are ENTJ for life, right? But you won't be ENTJ for life because it will change, right? And that was the
Yeah.
idea that how can you say that I will be one personality for my life? I change every year, like, and this is very personal to me because I know I was a very different person last year.
I,
So how can you?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I just retook Myers Briggs and my stuff changed. And so I definitely can
yeah,
see that. But I guess one other concern with how someone could misuse this platform and like not see the benefits is like within a company, you want like not just like diversity in terms of like ethnic background and all that stuff, but like diversity of thought and thinking about things different ways because you're selling to everyone. And so you need to like
exactly.
understand where all those people are coming from. But I feel like with this, you might zero in on, oh, this one personality is the only one we want, and then develop a weakness within your organization.
Right. So it's not just one person. You can have a mixture of people. Like you can have whole department as a baseline. So it just depends. Like for example, there's a company where only 20 employees are there, right? And you want another data scientist, and you just have one data scientist, right? So you might use that as a baseline. But let's say you are a 3,000 people firm, right? And you have a department of 70 people. You can basically use all 70 as a baseline. So you will find person who actually fits culturally in your company, right? Again, as you said, that diversity, I very much agree to your point. I don't think diversity is only on gender or color. I think diversity is more on skill and your personality. It doesn't matter what your gender is, what your pronouns are. If you are someone who brings another flair to my mix, definitely I'm getting you. I don't mind whether you are or whatever you are. So I agree. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that sort of thinking too should help with the whole cheating the system thing because there's so many different combinations that
Yeah.
these companies should look to be hiring because that diversity actually really is going to be important for the future.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, one thing that I have seen with all these companies, right? They all want to do something about it, right? But when it comes to actually doing it, most of them go and follow the very old method, right? That I'll go and figure out how many women are there, how many men are there, how many
Hmm.
Asian Hispanics are there, and I'll basically mix and say that yes, this is the most diverse group. Right? And that's what I think, like that's what fails any organization in the long run, because you don't want diversity of color, right? You're not making a breakfast cereal, you're making a company, right, where you need diversity of thoughts, and people usually don't judge that. So I agree to your point. Yeah.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think companies are definitely missing that. They're looking at other things that obviously it's a noble cause. Like they think they're doing the right thing, but I don't know if it's going to help them in the long run.
Yeah.
And so you mentioned that $100 million evaluation in 16 to 18 months. What sort of can we expect from Catenate and see happen?
So we are working towards integrating with Workday. Workday is one of the largest, let's call it people management system, right?
Yeah.
HXM system, and Workday has client in mid to big enterprise range, right? So we are looking to have a runway of around, let's call it around $5-6 million MMR a month, right? And to get that, we'll need at least 100 companies of medium to large enterprise, right? And medium to large enterprise 100 is not an easy task, but again, it's not something which is very difficult because this need of the hour, right? Gen Z is coming into the workforce, right? And probably you guys might be Gen Z, right? So uh, Gen Z has a very different thought process than the millennials and the baby boomers and everyone, right? I think Gen Z has the most courage and most forward thinking aptitude, right? And
Hmm.
two, and you guys don't care about whether you work with XYZ kind of a person. You care about what work you are doing, what purpose you are serving, and does it
Yes.
do any good to the society, right? Which was not true for most of the people who were millennials, right? We just wanted to work because we were getting money, and that's also very true for me also, because I started my career, I started the companies, and the idea was capitalism, right? That I can make more money out of it, right? Now it is changing a lot because again, I see a lot of different problems around the world and I want to do something about it. So when Gen Z enters the workforce, right, you need a system not just to evaluate whether they are good Java or C++ engineers, but you need to evaluate what kind of person they are, right? If you are someone who doesn't need a lot of money, but you want to work something for, let's say, environment, and I'm giving you tons of money and I'm not letting you work for environment, you're going to leave my company, right? So this tool, this kind of software, and I'm not saying that just go and use Maya. There are a lot of other software, but start thinking in that direction so
Yeah.
that you can create an ecosystem which is very, very, very helpful for mixing millennial Gen Z with the baby boomers or the boomers, right? So that's what the idea is, and that's what and that's the need of the hour, right? So I don't think it is that difficult to achieve. Statistically, it should be possible.
Yeah. Wait, and I'm interested. So is Maya basically all of your guys' revenue right now?
Yes, and we are coming up with actually there is something we call risk analyzer. So Maya serves as an engine, right? Our assessment serves as an engine with which we are spinning up various tools, right? One is basically this Maya. One, we are working for finance sector, like how you can analyze the risk of a person. For example, your risk profile also change every year, right? So should you invest in a stock, 401k, house, or should I move your whole portfolio to another level? So all those things, right? Then comes the friends, right? Based on your behavior, you should get certain kind of friend, right? So we are spinning up a lot of product based on the same engine. So yes, your Maya is currently the revenue source, but we are adding a lot of different layers to it so that we can explore other aspects of, let's call it human linkage, right? Which is your
Yeah.
friendship, which is your connections and everything.
Yeah, I mean that's awesome. I mean, you guys are gonna hit 100 million soon, basically just with Maya. So we'll see what happens when you guys add what is it, Mana and Como.
Yeah.
Okay,
That's the next stage. Next stage.
I'm excited for you guys. Very
Thank you.
excited.
Yeah, and also you're just an advisor and contributor to so many other startups and businesses. What sort of insights and expectations do you have for the future of the startup space in general?
Right.
Besides, besides
Yeah.
everyone adopting Catenate and using it for their hiring.
Yeah, so I come from very different background, right? So my idea is not just sell Maya or Catenate, right? My idea is to make an ecosystem around the world, right, where we are solving some real challenges, real problems, right? I don't think the real problems are stock market or other stuff. I think the real problem is affordable housing, right? Uh,
Mm,
Everybody used to talk about American dream, right? House, beautiful wife, two kids, picket fence, right? This was American dream, right? Right now you cannot afford that dream, right? You can work too hard, but you cannot because house prices are like it's skyrocketing, right? Most I read reports that most of the people might not be able to afford house their entire lifetime, right? What's the
yeah.
issue? Like, is it education? Is it quality education? Is it right education? Right. So education is one of my focus where I want to work more on it, and this is what I basically do with other companies. Same goes for, are we working on security, right? Personal information security is the biggest thing. If somebody has your information, your SSN number, your credit card information, they can loot you in 50 different ways, right? They can make a mock and misery out of you. Like you all might be getting call that your credit card is hacked, give me XYZ amount. Like, yeah, you bought this purchase, I'll do the refund, right? How we can stop fraud. And most of us, and when you look at the world, people don't have ability of good education, right? So they fell prey to these things, right? how we can solve that. That's what I usually advise a lot of companies on. Yes, I do advise on technology and how you can make technology sing better. But my underlining idea is always that how I can make a community which is more educated, more informed, and doing something in the right direction. So that's what I do.
And so you talked about education a little, and we saw you just today posted about a program connecting UTD students with AI companies. That sounds very early stage, but is there anything more you can let our viewers in on from JSOM and UTD?
Right. So yeah, I cannot give you all the detail because it will take the fun out of it. But I can promise you something that we are bringing a very different kind of program, and it's not a MS or something. It's a very boot camp-ish program. It will
Yeah.
run for next, let's say it will start in September and will go through May of next year. Next year's completely that program will run. We want to have few people where we want to train them on. Uh, okay, let me take the cat out of hat. We want to create at least 10 to 15 new firms, new companies out of UT Dallas, so that we are not just we don't want people to go out with your resume to 500 different places and not get the job. We want to create job creator right in the UTD so that they
Oh,
can give job to at least 5 people under them. Now just think about it. 15 cross 5 is 75 jobs I'll create just by sitting inside UTD. And in the
that's
next time,
awesome. Wow.
yeah, that's the idea. And we are going to fund them. We are going to let them use my resources. Um, one of my companies is basically providing them all the resources. We are going to train them how to open their company, how to open their firm, create product, sell it, get customer, and get your first seed grant check so that you can
Wow.
go
Wow,
ahead and
That's so nice of you.
that's big.
again,
Yeah.
it's a trial, it's a trial and error program. So if we are able to get it out, I think next year should look. I don't want to depend on economy, right? I want to depend on talent, and I think we have ample amount of talent in
Me too.
UTD and
Right
especially in
here.
JSON. Yeah, it's a business school, and we are not creating any freaking business out of it, right? How that makes sense? It's very bizarre, and I don't want it to be any more bizarre. So that's the attempt. I, along with Professor Shekhar, huge shout out to him because I think that's the man who's going to change a lot of things. So, and I have seen him grow. When I came, he was program manager of ITM, so I have known him since those days. So, uh, so yeah, we are
That
very excited, and yeah.
that's amazing, and that's a very cool gem to have here, kind of towards the end of our episode for the people who stayed around. That is massive, and I think I can think of a lot of people who will be very excited about that. So, thank you for that work there. And I think we're going to jump into our rapid fire questions right now
Wow.
to wrap up the episode. So these are just 6 questions we ask every guest. We say keep the answers less than 30 seconds, but that's a very loose guideline. The first question is, how much sleep do you get? You're doing a lot.
Oh, no, I'm getting like around 7 to 8 hours of sleep every day. I'm trying to be a little healthy. So,
Awesome.
Good. Good. What's your favorite book and why?
oh, great. So one of the thing is Zero to One by Peter Thiel.
Ooh,
I
I've read
think,
that one.
yeah, I think that's like the Bible for every entrepreneur out there. I think
Yeah.
Peter Thiel is someone whom I follow a lot because I want to jump into the venture capitalism. And I adore it. I adore capitalism to some extent. If it is mixed with socialism, I think the world will be a much better place. So that's the book, Zero to One.
Awesome. What's your number one piece of advice for young people?
Uh, find one thing that you're really good at, learn that skill, and then follow it to the T, right? To achieve the success. I don't think people go and say that follow your passion, but that's a very vague thing because we don't know what we are passionate about till we are like 50-year-old, right? If you're able to figure out what your passion is, it's well and good. But 99.9% of the people should basically learn one skill and be really good at it.
Hmm. Next one here. What's most important to you in life?
Right now, it's health, and if somebody calls me, I should be able to pick it up and help them out. If I can do that, that's the best thing and the most important thing for me right now.
That's awesome. If you could change anything about the world, what would it be?
So many things. Yeah, scientist in me just
One
got
thing.
away to right. So one thing, if I have to, I'll I'll basically change how we see the diversity, right? And I see diversity should not just be tied up to color or accent or language or anything. I think diversity should always be exchanging ideas, and people should be able to accept the ideas which they don't agree with. They don't have to retaliate on it. I think the world's biggest problem is somebody will come and say something, and the other person has to retaliate to it, right? So if I can change, listen to understand, not to respond, right? In simpler word, if we can do that, I think
Yeah.
99% of the problems will be gone.
Yeah. And Samir, so how do you want to be remembered?
Oh wow. Okay. So I was just watching one video and somebody was saying that I want to get remembered as like how many peoples I touched their life on, right? Like I changed their life, or I was just a very important person in their whole lifetime. I don't want to be called that, okay, this is the person with whom my life changed. But whenever they think or hear my name, they should get a smile on their face. They should not be like, oh, thank God he's dead. Not like that. They should be, oh shit, he's dead. That kind of a thing.
That's fantastic. And I mean, we've been smiling this whole episode. I hope our viewers are also, because this conversation has just been fantastic. Thank you so much. I'm sure we're going to see a lot more of you with the work you're doing. We'll be keeping an eye on that. And so, Samir, thank you so much for joining us. We'll be sure to link to everything you're doing in the description. And for all of viewers, thanks for staying with us so long. You got to see a secret that's coming out soon. And just be sure to like and subscribe so you can get more of this. And we will see
Thank
you
you.
next week, Tuesday at noon. Don't be late. We'll see you there.